All Hit Radio.
Welcome to the X Zone, a place where fact is fiction and fiction is reality. Now, here's your host, Rob McConnell.
Welcome back to the X Zone, everyone. This is Rob McConnell. We're coming to you from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Worldwide toll-free, 800-610-7035. Our email address, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com. On MSN Messenger and all the other social media networks, X Zone Radio TV. And our main website is www.xzoneradiotv.com. My guest this hour is Gabriella von Elekes. She is an astrologer. She's a multi-lingual astrologer, teacher, and public speaker born in Transylvania who inherited her passion for metaphysical matters from her grandmother. After graduating from high school, she moved to Hungary to be with her father, earning a master's degree in French language and literature. She began her career in the international import-export business, and at 25 years old, she was offered a high-security clearance government position. She didn't agree with the communist regime and defected to Germany instead, where she met and married a fellow Hungarian and then moved to the United States. Later, Gabriella and her husband lived in the Orient and traveled all over the world, and life appeared to be perfect. Love, money, success, and status. It was all there. Gabriella became a mid-level executive with a cosmetic company, working her way up to become an executive. Just when she was about to make it, somebody else got to live her dream. A pattern was emerging. Every time Gabriella got closer to becoming an executive or a person with power, the opportunity was taken away. She began searching for answers. By chance, she literally ran into a professional astrologer who helped Gabriella clarify her soul's position and purpose and showed her that she was barking up the wrong tree. Her soul's mission was to become an astrologer. In 2000, she moved to Scottsdale, Arizona, and studied astrology at the Astrological Institute, graduating in 2002. She began teaching at the Institute in the fall of 2002. By 2004, she was president of the Arizona Society of Astrologers, had a TV show on Channel 3 in Phoenix, helped introduce Stephen Fort's book, The Inner Sky, to the Romanian public, and wrote the foreword to the Romanian translation. She was a staff writer for the EZnetNews in Scottsdale, Arizona as well. Now, as a result, Gabriella has helped countless people in their quest for inner peace, understanding the difficulties in their lives, be it in relationships, private or business, inner turmoil, starting a business, finding the best place to live, or in understanding their children. Joining me now from Scottsdale, Arizona, is Gabriella von Elekes. And Gabriella, thank you very much for joining us in the X Zone. Welcome.
Hi, thank you very much. I do have to clarify that I moved to Long Island, so I live in Long Island these days.
Oh, you live in Long Island now? Okay,
yes,
great.
Too hot in Arizona. Too hot.
Too hot, eh? Did you ever think when you were growing up that you would be a master astrologer?
No, I thought only cuckoo people do that, and actually I didn't know there were astrologers alive. I thought, they all died a long time ago, but I was always interested in metaphysical things, and my grandmother would always talk about karma and fate,
right.
And thinking back, actually I don't know what I was thinking about, but it all made sense to me at the time. And I was always watching for patterns, and later on I discovered that I was thinking like an astrologer.
So fate and destiny had already mapped your journey to becoming an astrologer.
It sure seems so, because when I started studying it,
mm-hmm.
it was like I knew it. It didn't mean that I didn't study a lot, but it kind of turned out that I'm a natural at it.
Wow. You and I have to take a 2-minute commercial break, Gabriella. Please stand by. Great having you with us. Thank you for taking time out of your night in Long Island to be
Thank
here.
you.
Exonation, this hour is all about astrology. And we're going to be joining Gabriella back in a few moments. When we come back from this commercial break, I would just like to remind everyone that the X-Chronicles newspaper for September hits the newsstands this coming week, and we're also taking ads for the October edition of the X-Chronicles. And if you'd like to have your service, your book, whatever, advertised in the X-Chronicles, send an email to publisher@xchronicles-newspaper.com or send it to me, xzone@xzoneradiotv.com, and I'll make sure the fine people on the other side of the building in the X-Chronicles part gets your email and they get right back to you. The X Zone, a place where people dare to believe and dare to be heard, Monday through Friday from 10 p.m. Eastern until 2 a.m. Eastern, right here from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Don't go away. We'll be back in 2 minutes. Welcome back, everyone. The topic of the hour is astrology, and our special guest is Gabriella von Elekes. And can you tell us a little bit about the Arizona Society of Astrologers?
Absolutely. It is one of the oldest one in the United States.
Mm-hmm.
And actually it was born, so to say, in 1973. It has the largest membership in the country. When I still lived there were about 168 members. Mind you, not everybody came out at the same time, but we always had a big crowd there. And we always have very well-known astrologers as speakers. There are some local ones who live there and then who support the ASA in short. And they also have these half-hour free classes in astrology before the meeting, and they are held once a month.
Fascinating.
So it's a really great place to get together for the those interested in astrology, whether they are beginners or seasoned professionals. Everybody's welcome.
Let me ask you something. As an astrologer, when Pluto was declassified as a planet, did this affect the astrological charts?
Not really. I mean, no matter what you classify it, when you have a Pluto transit, you feel it.
I see.
So no, it didn't change anything. And we were asked actually that question many times, and especially the quote-unquote scientists, they kind of made fun of us. Yeah, and now that it's no more a planet, then what do you do? Well, you feel it when it hits, so to say.
As an astrologer, I'm sure that you're constantly comparing world events and taking the world events now, looking at the stars to see what is going to be happening. Can you tell me why there is so much violence in the world today?
There are two things going on here. One is the world, and then it's the United States. Mm-hmm. And when we look at the chart of the United States, we do work with the July 4th of 1776, even though they say, it came about before, but that is what is known. And when you look at that, you see, first of all, I have to say that when the song says that God bless America, God bless them, and I do have to say it's a blessed country no matter what.
Right.
But lately, there have been challenges, and it's, again, a Pluto thing. So whether it's a dwarf planet or a planet, it doesn't matter. We still felt it. And actually it started, with 9/11, when transiting Pluto was on the United States ascendant, which is like us. And since then, it created oppositions to the United States, Venus, Jupiter, and the Sun. And so that's one. Then the other planet that causes upheaval, it's Uranus.
Mm-hmm.
And that creates what we call a square that's 90 degrees. So, bottom line, Pluto and Uranus, when they are in not harmonious aspects, that means that there is a need for change. Now, mind you, we don't like changes because we would all like to be all settled in our nice ways.
Right.
But so that is one thing. And of course, there's worldwide, but in the United States, it really hit home. The other thing that is going on with the United States, it will, letter by law, approach about 250 years of age, which is a Pluto return. In astrology, we deal with cycles,
Mm-hmm.
and for the planet Pluto, it takes approximately 248 years to go all around the sun. As a human being, we don't live that long. As a country, though, of course, the country lives that long, so to say. And this will be the very first time that it will happen to the United States, since it's such a young country. And in about 2005, I wrote an article which was published in the EZnetNews, and it was exactly about this. And at the time, I did write the changes and the challenges that the United States will encounter. And one by one, it's happening, the border issues, because everything, when there is a return, then whatever happened at the inception of that entity, whether it's a country, whether it's a business, whether it's a person is born, or any other thing, things that happen at birth, they'll be revisited, and you have to make sure that the things happen the way they were intended to happen. If not, then changes will need to be made. And so the United States will need to kind of adjust itself to see if we are living the way the founding fathers intended us, to be and function.
I understand.
So that's what's going on.
All right.
So this is one thing.
Mm-hmm.
The other thing that I noticed, with the Muslim world, and so that is another manifestation of this big upheaval. Plus, when you think back, way back in history, the Crusades, they happened between, if I remember well, 1095, and then 1291. And so it's almost like things are reversed now, and they are trying to promote their own agenda.
Right. When the date of September the 11th, 2001, was read by astrologers, did you see something that was going to happen as catastrophic as the attack on America?
Well, I have to say that at the time I was not that much into mundane astrology, the world astrology. I was more interested in relationships, compatibility,
Mm-hmm.
But since then, I paid more and more attention to these things. If I remember well, there were several astrologers who they predicted war, and then of course, for me, so to say, it was easier to look after the fact that, it was there.
Sure.
But before, I did not, I was not interested, in this. I do have to say that when the First World War happened,
Mm-hmm.
then it was, again, a Pluto thing, and that was on the United States descending chart. This time, Pluto was on the United States ascending. And by the way, all this economical crisis that happened in the United States, and we are trying to get out of it, it's also a Pluto thing, just as, the Great Depression, it was, again, Pluto. So, you see, no matter what you call it, if it hits, it hits.
So basically,
Yeah.
Pluto is a planet that brings forth problems.
Well, yes, problems, but at the same time, it destroys what needs to be changed. When it was discovered in 1930, I think it was in March, sometime, that was, the prohibition, then the Hiroshima bomb later on, and when there's a Pluto transit, like by that I mean like a difficult one, then the first hit, so to say, will destroy something. Then when everything is cleared, then something new has to be reborn. And when all this turmoil will be over, then a new United States will emerge. And it has to be better than what it is now or in the last years. But of course, do we like it? Well, no, of course we don't.
Well, in all fairness, the United States, like Canada, we're very young countries in the big picture of things. So like any other child, the going through puberty and into adulthood, there's certain changes that need to be made, certain adjustments. And we've seen these adjustments throughout history. So it'll be very interesting to see what happens in the years to come. So when you're doing your astrological charts, what do you think is happening with the healthcare system?
Well, interesting you asked about that because in my chart, the sixth house of the horoscope, that is everyday work, and then it's also health. And the United States has Uranus in that part of the horoscope. And this means that Americans usually like to work independently and they are creative. It is challenged now by transiting Neptune. And it creates a square that's 90 degrees. Mm-hmm. So there's lots of kind of murky waters that we have to sail through. And it will not be cleared for about 2 more years.
And after that, it should be clear sailing?
Well, in as far as the health care, I think things will settle. Mm-hmm. But until then, it's not easy.
It's not going to be easy, is it?
Lots of confusion.
When you're sitting down and doing an astrological forecast for someone, whether it's a person or a business, how long does it usually take you?
To prepare or the consultation itself?
The consultation.
Usually it's about 55 minutes. And, the client contacts me beforehand. And so we discuss certain things because an astrological consultation is different the way a, let's say, psychic consultation is.
Right.
The astrologer has a dialogue with the client because we have to figure out together what needs to be done. So there are different things. I need to prepare ahead of time to figure out things, look at transits, and kind of patterns in the person's life. And then when I have the client in front of me, or actually over the phone, because I do lots of phone consultations, then I'm ready to just talk. And then, you pinpoint on something, and then the client just starts pouring their soul out, and you have to listen. And then sometimes, my degree actually is astrology and psychology because at the astrology.
Gabriella, I've got to take my news break. Please stand by.
Okay.
Exonation, we're talking astrology this hour, and I'll be back on the other side of this commercial break with the news with Gabriella as we continue here in the X Zone. Don't go away. Welcome back, everyone. We're talking to Gabriella von Elekes. Her, is your website going to be up? I'm sorry, I don't have the information on that.
Yeah, I hope it will be up again in a couple of days.
Oh, right. Okay, now as an astrologer, you watch the news. Right now, we have terrorist activity throughout the Middle East. We have the countries of the world that are targeting ISIS, going to eradicate them, which I congratulate them on that. We have what's happening in the Ukraine. We have right now a vote being tallied in Scotland to see if Scotland is going to secede from the United Kingdom. What can you tell us about the upcoming world events based on astrology?
Well, it seems there is much more to come, and I was asked if I foresee war, so to say. Not really war, but more bombings, and everything is so confused. It's not like a clear-cut kind of thing.
Right.
And the United States, again, will be challenged tremendously. However, it will prevail. We will be okay.
Mm-hmm. Why is it that there are some peaks in history where the world seems to be in a total chaotic state, and there are other times in the world's history where it seems that we're trying so hard to make things work that it seems that the negative forces have been pushed aside and the positive forces are starting to make some headway, and as soon as it seems that the headway is being made, poof, everything goes back to the way it was before?
Again, when you look back in history, you will always find Pluto and Uranus at work. Like the Uranus cycle, around the sun is about 84 years. And if you count back more or less 84, could be 83, 82 years, there was always some kind of upheaval. And that's repeating itself right now. Like sometimes there's like half of that amount of years, like 84, so that's about 42. Half of that, it's about 21. So those are all aspects of Uranus. Like the 42, more or less, that is an opposition. The 2022, that is a square, meaning the transiting planet will make a 90-degree aspect to its starting point. And that is always upheaval. Like we humans, we have like around 2021, we leave home, we go to college or get married or start something new. Then around, I think, 39, 42, there's a big change. And it's the same thing with the world history. Like if you go back to the 60s, that was also a Pluto kind of Pluto-Uranus. At the time, they were in the sign of Virgo. And so there you have it.
But the 60s were a great time. There was a lot of great music. There was, mind you, there was the Vietnam War. There were so many positive things that happened in the 60s. It seems that the vibrations of the world were just right.
Right, but this time Uranus is in the fire sign. It's in Aries, and Pluto is in Capricorn, which is an earth sign, but it is also a cardinal sign, like a doer. So this is very explosive. At the time, they were in earth signs in Virgo, which is all about communication, vitamins, writing, and those kind of things. So it's a very different kind of energy. For the United States, for instance, at the time, these two planets made, yes, there was a revolution, but it was in a friendly kind of way. It made very nice aspects to the United States. Venus, which is in Cancer, and Jupiter, which is in the sign of Cancer, and the Sun, which is in the sign of Cancer, while now Pluto opposed it, so which is very challenging when you are pushed to the maximum. The planet Uranus square them, so that is when you just cannot take it, it's explosion. So it's a very different energy altogether.
Now, you've studied psychology. So
right.
how do you use your psychology in conjunction with your astrology?
Well, there are different kinds of astrology, and the humanistic astrology, really, it's not about prediction, doom and gloom, and Madame Nicole kind of thing, like sometimes in Eastern Europe we have, people who practice it that way. But it is kind of like a map of your DNA. And then you can figure out your gifts and your challenges. And I do lots of relationship charts. Mm-hmm. And, when you see a young person full of life and expectations, and they come in, oh, is this him or her? And is that you? And then you say, oh, my God. No, not really. You cannot just blurt it out. You have to talk to the person in a constructive way to guide them kind of that it would be maybe easier not to get involved or how to handle the situation. And if there is like a really difficult case, then you can refer them to counseling. We studied the psychology because you need to talk in a very compassionate way to your clients. But then if it is really something very difficult to deal with, then I always recommend them to get some help if that is what is needed.
How do you stop a client from becoming too dependent on you?
Well, that happened to me quite a bit in the beginning because I just so would have liked to repair everybody's life and all that, but of course you cannot do that.
Right.
So after a while, you just say, well, can you change it? Yes, no. If not, then, well, what else can we do? And then I refer them to other practitioners, or I just say I helped you as much as I could. So that's that.
Time to move on, so to speak.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Unfortunately, nobody is given that much power, so to say, to repair everybody's heartache or something. I wish I could do it.
Right. But it seems that in today's society, the role of the male and the female are changing. Is this right?
Very much so. Of course, we all notice that there are many men who go into careers that were reserved for women, like nursing, let's say, or men who stay home, taking care of the kids and the wife, go to work. And astrologically speaking, it's the planet Mars represents male energy, and the planet Venus represents female energy. And the planet Mars in the United States chart turned retrograde around 2004, but it's been in Libra for a long time. And if we say that the planet Mars is at home and the strongest is in areas, that I'm going and I'm a pioneer and I take care of things, the opposite that is Libra. So that's the peacemaker that is a little bit more present, doesn't want to go out and fight, would rather resolve things in a more peaceful way, and especially when it turns retrograde by progression. And I want to say that no planet will go backwards in real life, because other than, we wouldn't be talking here, but it is just the way we perceive it from Earth. If we would watch that, it goes backwards. But in astrology, retrograde means that there's a withdrawal of energy, a redirection of energy. So when this happened, it just seems that the men, they're not so manly anymore, like, when they conquered the West, let's say. So that's, and the United States, Venus is in the sign of Aries, and it went there around 1993. So when the planet Venus, which is love, and what we value, is in the sign of Aries. Right. That is the warrior. That is, I'm doing it. It's about me. So it seems they are at odds at each other. And So this is a big shift in energies. And it just seems that it's the time for women to take lead and do some other kind of jobs. On the other hand, it is not so easy because you have to bear the consequences, meaning you have to be maybe the breadwinner in the relationship, and then the husband is tired, so it's that kind of stuff, or it's just difficult to get together.
Does everyone really have a soulmate, or is this something that we would love to have happen but really isn't there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, this is another question that I'm asked. One of the probably top 5 questions that an astrologer is asked. And I think we all have a soulmate, but we might meet that person and it's for a very short time, and then the soulmate say, well, hello, I met you again. Nice to see you. Goodbye. I have other things to do. So it's not really, I think, a matter of do we really have a soulmate. It is how long will that soulmate stay with you in this lifetime. Because we think of soulmates as these wonderful, perfect people who will just be our perfect match, and then we can live happily ever after. But the soulmate really, from an astrological point of view, is a soul that maybe we met in a past life, if you subscribe to the idea of a past life. If not, it's somebody that seems very familiar, like we knew them forever, and who are in our lives to show us to teach us something. And sometimes it's companionship. Sometimes it will teach us to set boundaries and not to trust anybody just so easily. So there are all kinds of soulmates, really. But the literature, of course, always refers to this perfect being that actually doesn't really exist, because we are humans.
A couple of years ago, there was a lot of talk about December the 21st, 2012, as being the end of the Mayan calendar. What did the date December the 21st, 2012 mean astrologically?
Well, I do not subscribe to any of these doom and gloom kind of things, because when you think about it, the universe doesn't know about all these dates. The planets just whirl around and go, and they said, because it's the end of the Mayan calendar, but I didn't give it any importance myself, because I just didn't really think that there'll be such.
We've also heard a lot about the dawning of the age of Aquarius. Are we?
I am sorry, I'm laughing, but that this tickles me pink, because I remember I was back in Europe and I heard the song, and we were, yes, it will be so great and all that. But when you think about it, what Aquarius is, well, it is an air sign in astrology, even though it's the symbol of it. It's the man who you would think it's a water sign, but actually it's an air sign, and that means it's kind of logical,
right? And
you would think that it's very wants equality for everybody, but we are from the Pluto and Leo generation, the baby boomers, and we are kind of how should I put it nicely, a little bit self-centered, and maybe we want to be, good-looking and healthy and all that till the day we die, and some people feel special. Well, the Aquarius is the opposite of that. Also, Aquarius is a sign of technology. So just look at, we have an interview over the phone, and it'll be Facebook and all kinds of gadgets, which give their gadgets, and they connect us, but at the same time, they keep us separate. So it is not easy, really, to live in this kind of society for those of us who were raised with in more cozy kind of warm circumstances.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if I'm expressing myself in English all that well, but in the past, we didn't have the phones or cell phones, so if we said we go on a date, well, we had to go, or, it was much more personal, everything. Now it's, you're in front of the computer,
Mm-hmm.
and you do computer dating, and yet you're still very alone. So from this point of view, the age of Aquarius, it's not quite that easy and quite so fuzzy and cozy.
Gabriella, you and I have to take our final break for this hour. Please stand by. Exonation, we're talking about astrology this hour. And when we come back, we're going to tell you how you can contact Gabriella. And we're going to wrap up this hour with a few more questions about astrology. My name is Rob McConnell. This is The X Zone. And Gabriella and I return on the other side of this break. Whatever you do, don't go away. We'll be right back.
Are you here?
The topic of the hour is astrology, Exonation. Our guest is Gabriella von Elekes, and she is in Long Island, right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Gabriella, how can people contact you if they'd like to get a one-on-one, either personal or business consultation?
Okay. Either through email, which is basically my name, G from Gabriella, V is in Victor, Onelekes, so GVONELEKES at gmail.com, or by phone at 516-240-3067, and I can be sent a text also. My website, unfortunately, something happened, so I'll have to download it again. So I hope it will be done in about a week.
Mm-hmm.
And it is www.astrogab, so Astro from Astrology, Gab from GAB from Gabriella.com.
And do you do consultations via Skype and over the phone?
Right, yes.
Okay.
I do.
What is the final message you would like to give the X Zone Nation tonight about astrology?
Well, astrology is a very complex, very useful tool. It's not, in my view, it is not a belief system.
Mm-hmm.
One believes in God or higher power, whatever. Astrology, if you find the right astrologer, and there are different kinds, because there are different branches of it, then you find one that you like and produces the results that you were hoping for, then it's right. If you are not matched with the right astrologer, then you might not even want to deal with one before, but after that. But it is a tool. It can shed light on every aspect of the human nature. I do like to do compatibility charts, relocation charts, natal charts. If somebody wants to invest money, that is not me. I do not do any charts, that have to do with money. For that, I can defer it to different other people who specializes in that. Other than that, I do everything.
Wow.
Yeah.
Gabriella, I want to thank you so much for joining us. It's been a great pleasure. Once again, tell our listeners how they can contact you.
Well, thank you very much again. So I can be contacted at this point. So on my cell phone, which is 516-240-3067. I can be sent a text here as well, or through email, which is G from Gabriella, V as in Victor, ONELEKES @gmail.com. And hopefully my website will be up and running again, and that's pretty soon. And that site is www.astrogab, so astro from astrology and GAB from Gabriella.com.
Gabriella,
astrogab.com.
take care of yourself. Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you very much. It was a pleasure.
Good night, dear.
Bye-bye. Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye now. All right, Exonation, we'll be back on the other side of the news at 6.5 minutes past the top of the hour as we continue here in the X Zone from our broadcast center in Hamilton, Ontario, Canada. Gabriella was her name, and you can go to our website at xzoneradiotv.com, and we'll have all her contact information there. We apologize for the bit of a muffled sound we had, but that's what happens sometimes with cell phones. We'll be back on the other side of this break. Don't go away.